Welcome to Tri-State-audit News, your number one cop watcher and auditor today.
First Amendment audits are a largely American social movement that usually involves photographing or filming from a public space. It is often categorized by its practitioners, known as auditors, as activism and citizen journalism that tests constitutional rights, in particular the right to photograph and video record in a public space, a right covered by the First Amendment. Auditors have tended to film or photograph government buildings, equipment, and access control points, as well as any personnel present. The movement promotes transparency and open government. The practice is predominantly a U.S. concept, since the First Amendment is a part of U.S. law, but it has also been seen in other countries, including Australia, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Russia.
Auditors typically travel to places considered public property, such as sidewalks or public right-of-ways, or places open to the public, such as post offices, police stations, public libraries or other government buildings, and visibly and openly photograph and record buildings and persons in their view.
Auditors typically travel to places considered public property, such as sidewalks or public right-of-ways, or places open to the public, such as post offices, police stations, public libraries or other government buildings, and visibly and openly photograph and record buildings and persons in their view. In the case of sidewalk or easement audits, the conflict arises when a property owner or manager states, in substance, that photography of their property is not allowed. Auditors of course have no official authority to audit anything, but do have theoretical constitutional rights to record from open public spaces. The laws regarding public forums come into play in these situations, and are often the flashpoint of contention. Sometimes, auditors will tell property owners upon questioning that they are photographing or recording for a story, they are photographing or recording for their personal use, or sometimes auditors do not answer questions. Frequently, local law enforcement is called and the auditor is sometimes reported as a suspicious person and are often also identified as having been on private property. Some officers will approach the auditors and request their identification and an explanation of their conduct. An auditor selects a public facility and then films the entire encounter with staff and customers alike. If no confrontation or attempt to stop the filming occurs, then the facility passes the audit. If an employee attempts to stop a filming event, it fails the audit.
Auditors have been detained, arrested, assaulted, had camera equipment confiscated, weapons aimed at them, their homes raided by a SWAT team, and have been shot while video recording in a public place. Such events have prompted police officials to release information on the proper methods of handling such an activity. For example, a document sponsored by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, IACP, states that the use of a recording device alone is not grounds for arrest, unless other laws are violated.
The movement promotes transparency and open government. They argue that auditing raises awareness of police misconduct and pressures government agencies to train their employees to respect First Amendment rights.
The rights cited typically in audits are freedom of speech and freedom of the press in the First Amendment, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures in the Fourth Amendment, and the right to remain silent in the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
The legality of recording police in public was first clearly established in a United States jurisdiction following the case of Glick v. Cuniff in the First Circuit, which confirmed that restricting a person's right to film in public would violate their First and Fourth Amendment rights. Though the Supreme Court has yet to affirm a right to record government employees, it has stated that there is a paramount public interest in a free flow of information to the people concerning public officials. As the Seventh Circuit Federal Court of Appeals explained in ACLU v. Alvarez, the act of making an audio or audiovisual recording is necessarily included within the First Amendment's guarantee of speech and press rights as a corollary of the right to disseminate the resulting recording. The right to publish or broadcast an audio or audiovisual recording would be insecure, or largely ineffective, if the antecedent act of making the recording is wholly unprotected. Bystanders may object to being filmed in public, but courts have generally held that when people are in public spaces they do not have a reasonable expectation that they will not be recorded on video. Tri-State-audit News.